There's a conversation happening in kitchens and living rooms across this country that most families don't know is missing. It's not an argument. It's not a dramatic secret. It's quieter than that. It's a mother who sold her second car 6 months ago and hasn't mentioned it to her daughter. A father who switched phone plans, dropped 2 streaming services, and renegotiated his internet bill, and told nobody. A widow in her 70s who discovered she was overpaying for her Medicare supplement by $400 a year, found a better plan, made the switch in one afternoon, and never brought it up at Sunday dinner. Not because she was ashamed, because she knew exactly what would happen if she did. Her son would want to review everything. Her daughter would start asking whether she was managing okay. Someone would mention, carefully, that there were communities, very nice ones, where she wouldn't have to worry about all this. She's managing fine. Better than fine. She's made a series of quiet, intelligent financial decisions that have given her more stability and more breathing room than she's had in years. And she's keeping them to herself. This is not a story about seniors in trouble. It's a story about seniors who are winning, on their own terms, and who have learned that the people who love them most are sometimes the biggest obstacle to being left alone to do it. This is what they know, and this is why they're not telling their kids. Why the smartest financial move many seniors make is the one they never announce. There is a pattern that plays out in families across this country with enough regularity that most seniors who've been through it could predict it before it happens. An older parent makes a reasonable, well-considered financial decision. They mention it to their adult child. And what follows is not congratulations. It's concern. Questions about whether this was really necessary. Suggestions that maybe they should talk to someone. A financial advisor, a family friend, someone with more context. The full context, the parent thinks, is that they've been managing money for 50 years, that they know their own expenses, their own needs, and their own judgment better than anyone who visits on holidays. But that's not how the conversation goes. So they stop having the conversation. This habit of financial privacy is itself a money habit. It protects the autonomy required to act quickly, act independently, and act without having to justify every choice to people who mean well but don't live with the consequences. That's where this starts. How selling the second car changed everything. Without anyone's permission. The math on a second car, done honestly, almost never works out the way people think it does. Insurance, registration, maintenance, tires, the unexpected repair that runs to $800. The average cost of owning and operating a vehicle in this country runs to $8,000 or $10,000 a year when you include everything. For a car that sits in the driveway most of the week, most of those costs are fixed whether it moves or not. Sell it, and what happens is not hardship. A lump sum goes into savings. And then, every month afterward, several $100s that used to leave the account doesn't leave anymore. Rideshare services, a neighbor willing to help, a grocery delivery subscription that costs a fraction of one car payment. These fill the gap more easily than most people who haven't made the switch expect. What isn't easy is telling the kids, because the kids here sold the car and process it as a sign. Evidence that something is declining. The conversation that was supposed to be about a sound financial decision becomes a conversation about whether mom is really okay living alone. She's okay. She's better than okay. She just doesn't need that conversation right now. The vanished art of renegotiating everything. What the seniors who do it know here is something the telecommunications industry, the insurance industry, and the cable company are all quietly hoping you never figure out. Almost everything is negotiable, and the people who know this and act on it are paying substantially less than the people who don't. Your internet bill is not a fixed number. It's a number your provider set at a level they believe you'll pay without questioning. Call and indicate you're considering a competitor. The number frequently drops, sometimes immediately, sometimes after a brief transfer to a retention department that exists for exactly this purpose. Your car insurance premium is not fixed. A single afternoon of comparison quotes can reveal that you've been overpaying for years for coverage you could get elsewhere for less. A call to your current insurer asking them to match a competitor's rate frequently works. Your Medicare supplement plan should be reviewed every single year. Premiums for identical coverage vary by hundreds of dollars annually between carriers. The savings from switching even once can be significant, and the savings from switching every time a better rate becomes available are compounding. Your prescription costs are not fixed. Generics exist. Good or X exists. Cost plus drugs exists. Most people who discover these tools describe a feeling of having been overcharged for years, not because anyone deceived them, but because the system doesn't automatically give you the cheapest option. You have to ask for it. The seniors making these calls, running these comparisons, quietly reducing fixed monthly expenses, they don't announce the results because announcing them produces questions about why they didn't do this sooner, or whether they need help managing things. The win is real. The conversation isn't worth having. The Medicare review nobody told you to do every year. Most people who enroll in Medicare choose a plan carefully and then treat it as a permanent decision. It is not permanent. It was never meant to be. Medicare's annual enrollment period runs every year from October 15th through December 7th. Plans change. Premiums change. Drug formularies change. A medication covered at a low tier last year may jump to a higher tier this year at significantly higher cost. Networks change. A doctor who was in-network is suddenly not. The seniors who review their coverage every single fall, who run the comparison, check their medications, look at whether a different plan serves their situation better, find savings of hundreds of dollars annually. Sometimes more. The Medicare plan. Finder at medicare.gov walks through it step by step. SHIP, the State Health Insurance Assistance Program, provides free one-on-one help from trained volunteers in every state. This review takes one afternoon. The savings run all year. And it doesn't get mentioned at family dinners because I switched my Medicare plan. Invites questions that weren't invited. The switch was made. The savings are real. That's enough. The spending audit. How seniors who do this find money they forgot. They were losing. There is a category of expense that grows quietly in almost every household through a process so gradual it becomes invisible. Subscriptions, streaming services added one at a time, a gym membership that auto-renews for a facility nobody visits anymore, an app that charges annually, slipping through unnoticed because the charge appears once a year on a day nobody's watching. The spending audit is the old habit of going through every single line of your bank and credit card statements, not scanning, actually reading, and asking for each recurring charge. Am I actively using this? If I had to write a check for this every month rather than having it taken automatically, would I still choose it? The answers are frequently clarifying. Seniors who do this audit once or twice a year routinely find $50 to $150 a month in charges they had stopped thinking about. Canceled, that money returns immediately and permanently. One afternoon, ongoing savings, no announcement necessary. The forgotten gift card stack. What seniors who know this are actually paying at the register. This system runs so invisibly in certain households that the people who use it have stopped thinking of it as a system at all. Resale platforms like Raise and Card Cash sell gift cards that other people purchased and don't intend to use, at discounts that often run 5 to 15% below face value. Buy a gift card for a store you already shop at 10% below face value, and everything you buy there just became 10% cheaper. No coupons, no sales, no change in what you purchase. Add a cashback credit card paid off monthly and the discount increases. Add a store sale on top of that, and you are paying meaningfully less than retail for purchases you were going to make anyway. Layer in senior discount days, which many retailers and service providers offer on specific days of the week, and the compounded savings at the register are real. Not theoretical. Real. The seniors who do this don't mention it because it sounds fussy, like something a person who's worried about money does. They're not worried about money. They're managing it. There's a difference, and it's a difference they're comfortable not explaining. How seniors who moved cash are earning more. The rate shift most people missed. For most of the last decade and a half, where you kept your savings beyond a checking account barely mattered. Interest rates were negligible across the board. That changed, and the seniors who noticed and acted are now earning real money on cash they were already holding. High-yield savings accounts at online banks are currently paying interest rates that are multiples of what traditional savings accounts pay. FDIC insured. No fees. Fully accessible. The only meaningful difference is the rate, which at current levels represents hundreds of dollars a year on a modest balance. Treasury bills, purchased directly through treasurydirect.gov, are currently competitive with or better than high-yield savings accounts, backed by the federal government and exempt from state income taxes, which matters in states with meaningful tax rates. The seniors who moved cash from low-yield accounts into these instruments made a reasonable financial decision based on available information. They did it quietly because telling their adult children that they moved money between accounts produces a level of concern disproportionate to what actually happened. What happened is they read the environment and acted, the way they've been acting on financial decisions for 50 years. The mechanics of the move are simpler than most people assume. Opening a high-yield account at an online bank typically takes 20 minutes and a linked checking account for transfers. There's no branch visit, no paperwork mailed back and forth, no minimum balance that traps the money. The funds remain liquid, available in 1 to 3 business days if they're ever needed for something larger than routine spending. That liquidity is part of why it works so well for people who value not asking permission to access their own money. Treasury bills add a second layer worth understanding. They're sold at a discount and mature at face value, with terms ranging from a few weeks to a year, which means a senior can ladder several maturities so that some portion of the money is always coming due and available. This isn't sophisticated portfolio management. It's a spreadsheet with dates on it, built once and left alone. The people who did this didn't do it because a financial advisor told them to during a scheduled review. Most didn't have one. They read a headline, made a call, or filled out a form online, and moved on with their week. The same instinct that had them refinancing a mortgage in the 80s when rates dropped, or switching banks decades ago for a better CD. Nothing about the instinct expired when they turned 70. The lost skill of buying used. How seniors who never stopped. Are ahead for one generation of Americans. Buying used was not a lifestyle choice or an ethical stance. It was simply how you acquired things that didn't need to be new. Furniture, tools, clothing, appliances. Things with long, useful lives that perform identically whether they're new or 10 years old. Estate sales, thrift stores, consignment shops, Facebook Marketplace. These are not desperate resources. They are efficient markets where goods have been priced back to their actual use value rather than their retail markup. A piece of furniture from an estate sale at $40 performs the same function as the same piece purchased new for $400. A lightly used small appliance at $15 works identically to the new model at $60. The math is not subtle. The seniors who never stopped buying this way don't announce it because their adult children sometimes respond to, "I got this at Goodwill," with concern that wasn't called for. The item is perfectly good. The price was better than anything available new. The decision was sound. It didn't require a reaction, so they stopped sharing it. What makes this generation particularly effective at it is pattern recognition built over decades. They know which estate sales tend to have the better tools, the ones run by families clearing out a workshop rather than a general household. They know that the second day of a sale, or the final hour, is when prices drop by half. They know that solid wood furniture from the mid-century holds up better than most of what's sold new today, and that a $5 reupholstering job at a local shop can make a 40-year-old chair look and function better than something from a big box store. The digital shift has only expanded the advantage. Facebook Marketplace and local buy-nothing groups put estate sale level pricing in front of anyone willing to scroll for 10 minutes a day. Search alerts can be set for specific items, a particular brand of stand mixer, a set of matching dining chairs, so that a good listing arrives as a notification rather than requiring active hunting. None of this is about scarcity or deprivation. It's arithmetic applied consistently, the same arithmetic that built the retirement account in the first place. The seniors doing it aren't pinching pennies out of necessity. They're simply refusing to pay retail for something that depreciates the moment it leaves the store, when a nearly identical version is sitting in someone's garage for a tenth of the price. The property tax exemption most seniors qualified for and never claimed. This is the habit that produces the single largest annual saving for the seniors who know about it, and the single largest ongoing loss for the ones who don't. Most states and many counties offer property tax exemptions, freezes, or reductions for seniors above a certain age or below a certain income threshold. These programs can reduce your assessed home value for tax purposes, freeze your property tax at a specific level regardless of how property values rise, or eliminate a portion of your tax entirely. The savings for homeowners who qualify can run to hundreds or thousands of dollars annually. Every year, for as long as they remain in the home. The programs are not automatic. They require an application, typically through your county assessor's office, with proof of age and a recent tax return. The application is usually straightforward. Many seniors who qualify are not enrolled, not because they were denied, because nobody told them the program existed. One phone call to your county assessor's office, one afternoon of paperwork, savings that begin immediately and continue year after year. It doesn't come up at family dinner because explaining it requires explaining that you hadn't done it yet. The seniors who've done it have simply done it, absorbed the savings, and moved on. The medical bill nobody said you could question. And what happens when you do? There is an assumption baked into most medical billing that the number on the statement is the number you owe, that it was calculated correctly, applied the right codes, reflected your actual care, and represents the final word on what changes hands. That assumption is wrong with enough frequency that questioning it is not paranoia. It is due diligence. Medical billing errors are common. Studies have found that a significant percentage of hospital bills contain mistakes, duplicate charges, services billed that weren't rendered, incorrect codes that place a procedure in a higher cost category than it belongs. The bills are complex by design, and the complexity works in one direction. The seniors who know this ask for an itemized bill on every significant charge. Not a summary, an itemized bill, line by line. They compare it against any explanation of benefits from their insurance. They look for things that don't match what they remember actually happening. They call the billing department with specific questions. They also know that medical debt, more than almost any other kind, is negotiable after the fact. Hospitals have financial assistance programs that are not advertised. They have hardship provisions. They will frequently accept settlements for less than the billed amount, sometimes significantly less, from patients who ask directly and persistently. None of this requires a lawyer. It requires the willingness to treat the bill as a starting point rather than a verdict. The seniors who do this quietly save money their adult children would never think to tell them they could save, because their adult children never thought to look either. The library card. That replaced 4. Paid subscriptions. Most people stopped thinking of the public library as a practical financial resource the moment streaming became cheap and e-books became easy to purchase. The seniors who kept their library cards, or who went back and actually looked at what their library system now offers, found something worth knowing. Modern public libraries provide digital access to e-books and audiobooks through apps like Libby that work on any phone or tablet. No wait lists for some titles. No cost beyond the library card that was already free. Many library systems also provide digital access to newspapers and magazines, the New York Times, Consumer Reports, and dozens of regional publications, at no cost to cardholders. The same publications that run $10 to $20 a month individually. Some library systems provide free access to streaming platforms, language learning tools, financial literacy courses, and online skill programs. Lynda, now called LinkedIn Learning, is free through many library systems. Canopy, a streaming service for films and documentaries, is offered free through libraries across the country. A person with a library card and the knowledge of how to use it can cancel 2 or 3 paid subscriptions and lose nothing they were actually using, while gaining access to more than they had before. The seniors who discovered this didn't make an announcement. They canceled the subscriptions, kept watching and reading, and let the bank statement reflect the decision silently. The utility bill that shrank. Without anyone moving out, energy costs are one of the largest fixed expenses in any household, and they are more flexible than most people realize. Utility companies in most states are required to offer low-income or senior rate programs, reduced rates for qualifying customers who apply. These programs go underutilized because they go unannounced. The utility company sends the bill. They don't enclose a flyer suggesting you apply for a discount. The Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, LIHEAP, is a federal program that helps qualifying households with heating and cooling costs. It runs through state agencies and local nonprofits, and eligibility thresholds are often higher than people expect. Beyond assistance programs, the behavioral changes that reduce energy bills are not complicated. Running the dishwasher and washing machine during off-peak hours, adjusting the water heater temperature, sealing drafts that drive heating and cooling costs. These are the kinds of adjustments that compound quietly into meaningful annual savings. Some utility companies offer free energy audits that identify specific inefficiencies in a home. A technician comes out, walks through the house, and identifies where money is being lost to heat or cooling, at no charge. The resulting changes can reduce bills noticeably every month. The seniors who have done this homework, called the utility, asked about senior rates, had the audit done, made the changes, are paying less for the same home. They didn't announce any of it because it sounds like small-bore housekeeping. It is. Small-bore housekeeping that accumulates to real money. These are the habits of people who are not waiting for help they don't need, who are making the decisions that are theirs to make and absorbing the results. Good results, mostly, without requiring the people who love them to process every step. They're not hiding trouble. They're protecting something more important than money. They're protecting the life they've built and the right to keep living it on their own terms. And that doesn't need to be explained to anyone. It just needs to keep working. And it is. If this video gave you something real, hit the like button and subscribe. I put out videos like this every week for the people who are quietly figuring it out and want to keep going. Share it with someone who would recognize themselves in it. The neighbor who's smarter with money than anyone gives her credit for. The parent who's doing better than the kids realize. This is the kind of information that used to travel quietly, person to person. It still does. Just now, it looks like this. I'll see you in the next one.